I sent her 23 messages that day. She answered none of them. At 11:07 that night, I heard her key in the lock, and when she walked through that door, she was smiling. Not nervous, not guilty. Smiling, like she had already won something. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that I had stopped losing 6 months ago. My name is Richard Harmon. I'm 65 years old, retired high school principal from Franklin, Tennessee. For 32 years, I stood in front of teenagers every morning and taught them one thing above everything else, that the truth always shows up eventually. You can delay it, you can dress it up, but it finds you. I didn't think I would need that lesson inside my own home. I was wrong. What I'm about to tell you happened 13 months ago. On a Tuesday in October, my wife of 38 years walked through our front door at 11:07 at night, smiling like she had already won something. She had no idea that 6 months earlier, I had already begun to understand exactly what she was planning, and exactly what I was going to do about it. Sandra and I met in college in 1983. She was studying business, I was studying education. Everyone said we were too different. She wanted money, I wanted meaning. For 35 years, we made it work anyway. I retired from Franklin High School in 2022 after 32 years. Sandra still worked, a real estate agency downtown, selling properties to the young professionals flooding into Nashville's suburbs. Sharp, persuasive, always dressed perfectly. We had 2 daughters, Caroline, 36, elementary school teacher in Memphis. Diane, 33, healthcare in Atlanta. The house on Whitfield Drive had been their childhood. 3 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, a backyard where I still coached neighborhood kids in summer baseball. From the outside, we were the couple people pointed to. 38 years, still together, still talking at dinner. The outside, as it turns out, was not the whole story. It started with a number on a bank statement that I didn't recognize. $400, transferred to an account ending in 7741. I set it aside, told myself it was something Sandra had explained and I had forgotten. Then it happened again in April. $800, same account. Then in May, $1,500. I am a man who taught budgeting to high school seniors. I know what a pattern looks like. I called my oldest friend, Dennis Park, a certified public accountant who had done our taxes for 22 years. 2 weeks later, he called me back. His voice was careful, measured, the voice of a man choosing his words the way a surgeon chooses an instrument. "Richard," he said, "I think you need to talk to an attorney today." I sat in the office of Katherine Walsh, divorce attorney, 24 years of practice, downtown Nashville. On a Thursday morning in early June, I brought Dennis's records. I brought bank statements I had printed at a library 3 miles from our house, so Sandra would not see it in the printer history. Katherine looked at the documents for 12 minutes. Then she looked at me. "Mr. Harmon," she said, "your wife has opened 4 accounts in the last 18 months. 2 in her name only. 2 in both names without your signature authorization. In Tennessee, this is called dissipation of marital assets." She paused. "Your teacher's retirement pension, 32 years of service, is the most protected asset you have under Tennessee law. We'll build from there." I drove home on Route 96 that evening and sat in the driveway for 11 minutes. Inside, Sandra was making dinner. She called through the screen door, asked if I wanted pasta or chicken. "Chicken," I said. I came in and sat at the table. Neither of us said anything about what was coming. For 4 months, I lived the same life. Made coffee, read the paper, watched Sandra come and go. I kept notes, dates, times, amounts. Documentation is the only language a courtroom understands. I learned about Marcus Cole in August, a man who appeared in Sandra's phone record 17 times in 6 weeks, a financial planner she had met at a developer's open house. 44 years old, charming, the kind of man who wore a good watch and spoke with great confidence about other people's money. Katherine made a call to a colleague in Charlotte. 2 days later, she called back. Marcus Cole was not a licensed financial advisor. He had been removed from the Tennessee Financial Advisory Registry in 2021. He had a civil judgment in Mecklenburg County for fraud, an elderly widow who had trusted him with her savings. I sat at my kitchen table reading that document and felt something I had not expected. Not anger, not even satisfaction. Sadness. For Sandra. For what she had walked into, thinking she was walking out of something better. I sent the first message at 8:14 in the morning. A simple one. Morning. Call me when you get a chance. She always responded within the hour. By noon, nothing. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I had sent 11 messages and called 4 times. The calls went to voicemail after 2 rings. She was declining them. I sat in the living room and watched the light change through the front windows, afternoon gold turning to October dark. I made dinner for 1. At 9:47 I texted Katherine Walsh, 3 words. I think tonight. She responded in 4 minutes. Everything is ready. Call me in the morning. I turned off the television. I sat in the chair by the front window where I had sat 1,000 evenings in 38 years. At 11:07, headlights swept the driveway. Want more shocking and emotional stories like this? Subscribe now and don't forget to like the video. She came through the door carrying her good bag, the leather one she saved for important meetings. And she was glowing. Not nervous. Not guilty. Glowing. The way a person looks when they believe they are standing on the winning side of something. She sat down across from me. Richard, she said, and her voice had a finality I recognized. The voice she used when a decision was already made and the conversation was just paperwork. I've found someone. I'll be moving to Charlotte within the month. She paused, watching my face. Waiting. I looked at her for a long moment. Okay, I said. The smile flickered. She had expected tears, or shouting, or that broken look I had worn the night we lost Caroline's college fund in 2009. She had not expected, okay. I'll have my attorney contact yours, I said, first thing in the morning. You already have an attorney. I picked up my water glass. Sandra, I've had an attorney since June. Katherine called me on a Wednesday morning in November. Her voice carried that particular measured tone of someone delivering news that lands harder than expected. Marcus Cole, she said, has not been seen at his Charlotte address for 11 days. A recently divorced woman in Brentwood, Tennessee, has reported $24,000 missing from an account he had access to. There is now a joint complaint with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Sandra had moved $31,000 of her secret account into an investment Marcus had described as private equity. The investment did not exist. She called me that afternoon for the first time since the night she came home smiling. Her voice was nothing like it had been that night. The confidence was gone. What I heard was something older, the voice of a woman who was afraid. Richard, she said, I know I have no right to ask you anything. No, I said quietly. You don't. I held the phone for a moment. Call Katherine Walsh, I said. Tell her you need to know where you stand legally regarding the Cole matter. She will treat you professionally. And then I said goodbye. The divorce was finalized on a grey February morning in Williamson County Court. Katherine Walsh had built a complete case around the dissipated marital assets, $47,200 in unauthorized transfers, documented and legally classified under Tennessee Code. Sandra's share of the settlement reflected that number. My teacher's retirement pension, 32 years of service, was fully protected. My retirement accounts were protected. The house on Whitfield Drive was sold. After the mortgage payoff and the settlement calculation, I received 67% of the net proceeds. Sandra received $54,000 and a civil lawsuit against Marcus Cole that her new attorney, to her credit, filed within the same week. She moved to Memphis, not Charlotte, to her sister's guest room. I heard from Caroline that she cried for 2 weeks. I believe it, not because she lost the money, but because the man she had walked toward with such certainty had been walking away from her all along. I still live in Franklin, a second-floor apartment on Main Street. Good light in the mornings, a farmer's market on Saturdays. I have not missed once since February. Caroline calls every Sunday at 7 p.m. Diane calls Thursday mornings before her shift. Neither of them ask me to explain. Children see things from angles parents don't. I still coach youth baseball on Saturday afternoons, the same group I've had for 3 years. 9 and 10-year-olds who throw crooked and run like they're being chased and care enormously about everything. I need that more than I expected. I think about the 38 years sometimes, not with bitterness, with something more honest. There were good years, genuinely good, the kind you couldn't manufacture. There was love there at some point, even if it became something else. What I think about most is not what Sandra did. It's what I almost missed. How close I came to never looking at that bank statement carefully. How close I came to letting the last years of my life be built on something hollow. I looked. I measured. I prepared. Not for revenge, for clarity. If you're listening to this at 50 or 60 or 65, and something in your life feels wrong but you can't name it yet, I want to say this to you directly. Trust the feeling. Look carefully. Ask the question you have been afraid to ask. I spent 4 months in silence, preparing in secret, because the alternative was to be unprepared for what was already coming. And what was coming was already in motion, whether I knew it or not. At 65, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Not that betrayal is possible. I knew that. But that silence, real silence, built on clarity and not on fear, is the most powerful response a person can give to someone who expects them to fall apart. She walked in at 11:07 that night, smiling. I said 2 words, okay, and June. She never smiled like that again. My name is Richard Harmon. I am 65 years old, and I measured twice.